kids. Welcome back to Masterpieces in Art class. Today we're going to be recreating a scene called Cityscapes. I first want you to look at the examples and notice some of the features that you'll be recreating today. You'll see different width buildings that you're going to be doing. Some are skinny, some are thicker. I also want you to pay attention now to some of the roofs. This wider building has a flat roof, and some of the other buildings have an upside down V roof. When you're recreating or when you're creating your piece, keep this in mind so that you can either make a flat or a upside down V-shaped roof. I also want you to pay attention to the different colors and how there's windows on some of the buildings. And you'll have the ability to make some clouds in the sky if you'd like. And then if you'd also like, you can, on yours, make a road at the bottom. But this is your piece, so you can decide that when you're making it. Okay, ready? Let's begin. We're going to start by grabbing our art bag and getting the materials we'll need. Let's put out our brown table protector. You're going to need a cup with water. If you need to fetch some water, go ahead and pause the video and grab that now. Out of your other Ziploc, you're going to need your oil pastels, you'll need your watercolor paints, and if you're like me, I put the paintbrush back in with my paints. And inside another Ziploc bag taped, you should see some black paint inside of a little cup. You'll need a black one. And then for the paper, you should have a stack of papers, paper clipped together. It should be a piece of watercolor paper and then two other pieces. So go ahead and grab those now. If you need time to grab all your materials, go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and put the pieces I don't need aside for now. So there are a few other items that you need that might not be in your bag. That will be a pencil with an eraser, scissors, and a ruler. If you need time to fetch them, go ahead and pause the video now and grab some. Okay, so what's the first thing we do? We write our name, grade, and our teacher's name on the back. So let's start with that. Write your name, your grade, and your teacher's name. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to take our bigger piece of paper, this is called watercolor paper, and we're going to put it horizontal, which means the long side goes from left to right. We're going to start by using our ruler and our pencil, and I'm going to bring back the example, and we're going to lightly draw our buildings. So go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and do my street first. So I'm just going to draw a thin street at the bottom of the paper. I'm then going to draw different buildings. Remember, you probably want some thinner buildings and some thicker. So go ahead and draw those now. You can use your ruler to make straight lines. And they don't have to be all the same height. You can make some taller than others, some shorter. This is your cityscape, so make it your own. So I started by drawing the sides of my buildings first. I'm now going to do the roofs of them. So I'm going to have some of my taller buildings have a flat roof. And some of my shorter have a V, upside down V for the roof. Okay, so once you have that down, we are going to start to color them in after we use our water pastels. Okay, so if you remember back when we used oil pastels in the past, remember that they have oil, so when you draw on your paper and then go over it with the watercolor paint, the watercolor paint won't stick to the paper because your pastel is down. So I'm going to draw some white clouds. And I'm going to draw some windows on some of my buildings. So you can pick which color you want. Think about the different houses you see. They all are different colors, and some of the window frames might be a different color than the actual house. So now's the time that you can be creative and choose your colors. So go ahead and draw some windows now. I'm going to go ahead and grab the brown for my street, if you have brown. If not, if you didn't draw a street, you can skip this step. Okay, so once you've gone ahead and drawn the features you want, the different windows, clouds if you'd like them, street if you'd like them, now we're going to move on to our watercolor. I'm going to bring the example up for a second, and I want you to look. This artist chose to use blue for the sky, and then they chose different colors for each of the buildings. They decided not to do a street. So I just want you to pay attention and use the different colors that you'd like for your painting. So if you haven't gone and fetched your water, go ahead and do that now. Remember when you're painting that the less water you have, the darker or more rich the color will be. So go ahead now and start painting your buildings and your scene. If you've used a darker color, like I just painted brown, and are moving on to a lighter color, remember to really rinse your brush and dab it on the side to get rid of that darker color, and then continue painting. Oh, wow, that was a lot of painting, wasn't it? Well, take a look, and if you see any bare spots or anything you want to change with the paint, now's the time to do it, because we're going to put it aside and move on to the next part of the project. I see a few white pieces that I just wanted to fill in. If you want to rinse your brush out by dabbing it on the bottom and then dabbing it on the side, we can put our watercolors aside for now. Let's take our painting and put it right to the side while we grab some of our other pieces of paper. You might want to put your water aside so it doesn't knock over, but we will need that again. Okay, so now that you have the other two pieces, we're going to grab, it should be white, but it's the thinner of the two pieces. And you're going to need your scissors, and basically we're going to bring back the example And do you see the black lines that outline the buildings? And this painter decided to have some antennas coming off the roofs. We are going to be making those, so I want you to cut different size pieces of paper. So if you look at your V, think about what size you'll need that white piece of paper, and go ahead and start cutting out some lines. You also want to think about the longest or the tallest building you have, and make sure you have a piece that's tall enough to make that black line, and then just start cutting some pieces of paper. So now we're going to take, this is called Black Jazz paint, and it's glossy, and carefully, ever so carefully, remove the tape. If you need to, maybe use your scissors to cut the tape off. And open up your container. So take one little section of your board and go ahead and put some paint, not a lot. A little paint is going to go a long way here. And go ahead and, actually before we do that, grab one of your pieces of paper and let's practice a couple times. So you're going to be taking the edge of the white piece of paper, and you're going to be dipping it into the black paint, and very little, because you don't want it to glob off or drip off. So you're going to be dipping it into the black paint very lightly, and you're going to be making lines, and you're going to be creating these lines that you see here with the white piece of paper. So let's practice a couple times before we do it on our piece. So very gently, so that you're just getting a little bit of black paint on it. I don't know if you can see that, but I have just a little bit of black paint, and then I'm going to make some lines. So you see it made that line. So go ahead and practice a couple times making lines. And once you feel comfortable with that, we're going to grab our artwork piece and we're going to begin. If you need time to practice some of your lines, go ahead and pause the video and practice a few times. Okay, so now we're ready to complete our project. Again, you have the different size pieces, so I'm going to go ahead and do the long pieces first, which will be my buildings. If you find that they're too long, you can always grab your scissors and cut them a little shorter. And then go ahead and make those lines on your art piece. Remember, gently dabbing it into the black jazz paint. And then if you find you have too much, you can always just dab it onto your board. And then go ahead and make those lines. Remember, you should have different size pieces, so go ahead and use the different sizes you have. So once you're done, you're going to want to put this aside to dry. I hope you had fun. Do you like your cityscape? Does it look like a city landscape? If there's anything you want to add to it, now would be a good time. Okay, so our favorite part, cleanup. Let's get our bag back out and put all of our materials away. It's a good idea to put your watercolor paintbrush with your watercolors. Put your oil pastels, close that bag. Put that back. And then your ruler, your pencil, and your scissors you can give back to your teacher or put back in your drawer. And then your table protector. And then you can put those away for the last time. I hope you had fun this year with our remote virtual Masterpieces in Art class, and we hope to see you next year live and in person. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. Bye.